Hi everyone, Amaranth with Epic Encounters here. This video is going to be a short introduction into the Battered and Harried system and tiered status overhaul. So firstly, the statuses in the original game, like Petrifying, Stunned, Knockdown, those statuses, those are the ones that have become tiered now. So the ones that used to be hard control effects, those are now called tiered statuses. And we did this because we think that the original statuses, the hard control effects, they're really hard to balance around. They turn the game into more of a solitaire match. You're not really interacting with your opponent at all. There isn't any more hard control effect on these statuses. The tiered statuses are going to allow you to debuff your opponent, make them a little less dangerous, so that you're dealing with what they're capable of, not so that they are incapable of acting at all. But also, they're going to reduce their resistances. And this is important because enemies in Epic Encounters are going to get higher resistances. So Battered and Harried is required to apply Tier 3, which is the strongest tier of status, and Tier 3 is going to ignore armor. So if you're hitting a particularly strong boss or something, you're going to definitely notice that you have Battered or Harried 7, which is how much is required for a Tier 3 status. You're going to have that definitely before they lose their armor. That is totally fine because the Tier 3 status is Pierce Armor. Battered and Harried is only for Tier 3 statuses, but Tier 2 requires them to have no armor. So that's like the old system was, right? And then Tier 1 is just always going to work. It is like the fallback. If you are trying to apply a Tier 3 status, you didn't have enough Battered or Harried, then it tries to apply the Tier 2, but they had armor. So then it tries to apply Tier 1, and that's always going to work. So you're never going to have a case where your statuses just aren't doing anything. There's always going to be something coming out of them. So how do you apply Battered or Harried? Well, Battered and Harried are applied as they suffer physical or elemental damage. When you're dealing physical damage to things, they're going to get battered stacks, and when you deal magical or elemental damage to something, they're going to get harried stacks. But there's also a lot of spells that are just going to let you apply these stacks on their own, and there's a number of ascension features that will help you do that as well. So it won't always come down to just dealing damage, but that's the most basic way to do it. You can see on Fossil Strike, this is applying Petrifying 3. And at the top of the tooltip there, you can see that it consumes 7 harried, and it's harried because this is a magical status, right? Petrifying is a magic status. The number 7 there for harried is consistent across all tiered statuses. Tier 3 is always going to need 7, but if it's a physical status, it would need battered instead, right? Okay, so I've attacked this person a bit, and we've got 5 stacks there of harried. We know it's harried is there because if I look at my weapon, it's all air damage, so I'm doing full magic damage, which results in harried stacks. So let's get up to 7 stacks. There you go, you see I got the 7 stacks, and there's some visual fanfare to show that. So now I can go ahead and cast my Fossil Strike and apply a Tier 3 Petrifying on this guy. This one will get a Tier 1 Petrify, right? Because they still have magic armor and they have no stacks. This one will get a Tier 2 one because while it has no stacks, it has no magic armor. I can go ahead and examine, and you can see exactly what this status is doing. You can see the impact on the resistances. There's also some here on the elemental, but that's from slowed, it's not from petrify. These 2 modifications are from Petrifying 3. So what we're doing is we're trying to reduce the physical resistances with our magical statuses to allow our physical damage dealers to do more damage, which in turn means they will be applying more battered stacks, and they can apply their physical statuses to enable my elemental damage dealers. So really this is incentivizing hybrid damage play, hybrid group compositions, so that if you want to be able to deal with enemies who have high resistances, which you will find, you're going to need to be really exploring the whole breadth of damage types, right? So that you can use this system to make them vulnerable to your attacks. This is our take on statuses. It's definitely difficult to balance around the armor system in this game, but I think that this is a pretty good way to make it interesting to use multiple damage types and to get away from the really solitaire style that having those hard control statuses brings about. You're going to see a lot more interaction with your opponent. You're going to have to be thinking a lot in advance about how you're going to apply these stacks, get those tier 3 statuses on powerful enemies that need to be taken down. You have to make them vulnerable first. Blitzing is pretty difficult without keeping that in mind. So yeah, I hope you guys have fun with it, and I'll see you all in the next video.